Welcome to today's history, where we explore the most powerful moments of our past one day at a time. It's May 10th, a day of epic discoveries, fierce battles, political upheavals, and global change, from explorers setting sail into the unknown to the rise of new nations and leaders. May 10th has been anything but ordinary. Let's take a journey through time and uncover the stories behind the headlines. Chapter 1. Amerigo Vespucci sets sail for the New World. 1497. On May 10, 1497, Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci set sail from the port of Cadiz, Spain, embarking on what would become a historic voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. While Christopher Columbus believed he had reached the outskirts of Asia, Vespucci had a different perspective. Through careful navigation and observation, he concluded that these newly discovered lands were not part of Asia at all but an entirely separate continent. His vivid and detailed letters describing the landscapes, the stars, and the native peoples fascinated the European public and reshaped the way the old world viewed the new ... In recognition of his insights, a German mapmaker would later name the continent America in his honor. Vespucci's journey wasn't just about exploration, it was about changing the way humanity understood its world. And it all began on this day in 1497. Chapter 2. Columbus reaches the Cayman Islands. 1503. On May 10, 1503, during his fourth and final voyage to the Americas, Christopher Columbus came across a group of islands in the Caribbean Sea today known as the Cayman Islands. As his ships approached the shore, Columbus and his crew were struck by the sight of countless sea turtles swimming in the clear waters. Inspired by the scene, he named the islands Las Tortugas, meaning the turtles in Spanish. Though they would later be renamed the Cayman Islands, this discovery added yet another chapter to Columbus's long and controversial legacy. While his early voyages opened the door to European colonization, they also marked the beginning of immense change and often suffering for the indigenous peoples of the region. Still, May 10, 1503 remains a significant day in the age of exploration, one that linked these small islands to a larger world that was rapidly expanding. Chapter 3. The Tea Act passed by British Parliament. 1773. On May 10, 1773, the British Parliament passed the Tea Act, a decision that would spark outrage across the American colonies and eventually fuel the flames of revolution. The law was designed to help the struggling British East India Company by allowing it to sell tea directly to the colonies at a reduced tax. But the colonists saw this as another example of taxation without representation. They viewed it not as cheaper tea, but as a dangerous precedent, one that gave Britain too much control over colonial trade. The backlash was fierce. In Boston, this act led directly to the infamous Boston Tea Party just months later, where angry colonists dumped entire shipments of tea into the harbor. This single act of legislation helped unify the colonies against the crown and move them one step closer to the American Revolution. Chapter 4. Napoleon defeated at Acre by Ottoman forces. 1799. On May 10, 1799, in the heat of Napoleon Bonaparte's ambitious Middle Eastern campaign, the French forces suffered a major defeat at the city of Acre, or Acre in present-day Israel. Napoleon had marched through Egypt with dreams of expanding French power, but when he laid siege to Acre, he encountered fierce resistance. Leading the defense was Cesar Armed Pasha, a seasoned Ottoman commander known as the Butcher for his ruthlessness. With support from the British Navy, his forces held firm against repeated French assaults. After 2 months of brutal fighting and heavy losses, Napoleon was forced to retreat, one of the rare defeats in his early military career. The failure at Acre not only shattered his Middle Eastern ambitions, but also marked a turning point, showing that even the mighty Napoleon could be stopped. Chapter 5. Transcontinental Railroad completed. 1869. On May 10, 1869, a golden spike was driven into the ground at Promontory Summit, Utah, a moment that marked the completion of the first transcontinental railroad in the United States. This monumental achievement connected the Central Pacific and Union Pacific railroads, linking the east and west coasts of America for the very first time. What once took months by work or ship could now be traveled in just days by train. It was a transformative leap in transportation, commerce, and communication, built through harsh terrain and extreme conditions by thousands of laborers, including Chinese and Irish immigrants. The railroad symbolized American ambition and resilience. That single golden spike represented more than steel and wood. It represented unity, expansion, and a new era of American progress. Chapter 6. Treaty of Frankfurt ends Franco-Prussian War, 1871. On May 10, 1871, the Treaty of Frankfurt was signed, officially ending the Franco-Prussian War, a brutal conflict that reshaped the balance of power in Europe. France, having suffered a crushing defeat, ceded the territories of Alsace and part of Lorraine to the newly unified German Empire. This treaty didn't just redraw borders, it marked the final step in Germany's unification under Prussian leadership, transforming a collection of independent states into a single powerful nation. The war and its outcome ignited long-standing tensions between France and Germany, tensions that would echo through future conflicts, including both world wars. But on this day in 1871, a new chapter in European history began, one where Germany emerged as a central power, forever altering the continent's political landscape. Chapter 7. Nazi invasion of Western Europe and Churchill becomes PM. 1940. May 10, 1940, was a turning point in World War II and in the history of modern Europe. On that day, Nazi Germany launched a massive invasion of Western Europe, storming into the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France with incredible force and speed. Known as Blitzkrieg or Lightning War, the tactic overwhelmed defenses and marked the beginning of some of the darkest days of the war. That same day, in Britain, a major leadership change occurred. Winston Churchill replaced Neville Chamberlain as Prime Minister. Churchill's rise to power came at a moment of national crisis. His speeches, determination, and refusal to surrender would define the British resistance. It was a day when the world shifted, a brutal offensive on the continent, and the emergence of a wartime leader who would help rally the free world. Chapter 8. Nelson Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. 1994. On May 10, 1994, the world witnessed a historic and emotional moment as Nelson Mandela was inaugurated as South Africa's first black president. After spending 27 years as a political prisoner under the brutal apartheid regime, Mandela stood before a crowd of thousands and a nation of millions ready to begin a new chapter of reconciliation, equality, and democracy. The ceremony in Pretoria was filled with joy, hope, and powerful symbolism. Leaders from around the world watched as a country once torn apart by racial segregation began to heal. Mandela's presidency marked not just a political shift, but a moral victory, a triumph of forgiveness over hatred and of unity over division. His words that day echoed across generations. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. And that wraps up our journey through May 10th in world history, from the voyages that reshaped continents to revolutions, wars, and moments of unity. Each story reminds us how much a single day can shape the future. Thanks for watching today's history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a day of the past. Let history inspire your today and your tomorrow. See you in the next one.